So I think I'm going to stop here on her skin, and I'm going to start working on some of the things around her skin. Still haven't decided what I'm quite doing with the hat, so I'm going to go ahead and start working on her hair a little bit and kind of get those colors going. Have not decided what I'm doing with her eyes either, so we're just going to work on her hair. And the first thing that I'm going to go in right now with is the purple that we have. And so I'm going to start up here, and I'm going to do it ever so lightly. Just a little hint of purple. In fact, you probably won't even be able to see this. The thing with these colors, since I'm trying to figure out what kind of hues I can get. And I kind of would like to see if I can get almost like the lighter colors of the colors. So like in this case, maybe trying to do either a lilac or a pink almost. So I'm kind of going in, because again, it doesn't have to be the full push or color. So I don't have to get this as dark. That's how we were able, you know, that's a lighter green than the darkest of that green would be. So, oh, goodness, I keep moving you, don't I? So I'm doing this really, really lightly. Now the one other color that I can use is white. And like I said, I'm not going to use the Crayola white. I am going to go ahead and use my Luminance white. And once I find out about, I think I can also use like Posca pens and, you know, other things, as long as it's white. I think it's, you know, I can't bring in browns, I can't bring in blacks, things like that. But I believe I can bring in these colors here. So I'm just going to start there. I think we'll go for, see if we can get her hair to be pink. I always like pink and green together. So kind of putting in places that I would put shadows for right now. Just kind of getting familiar with the movement of the hair. Now, I don't know if I'm going to do all the hair the same color. I'm thinking do some of the layers in an orange maybe to kind of bring in, you know, that she's a very colorful witch. Alright, so now I'm going to come in with this red and see how light I can do it. Ooh. Oh, that's interesting. Actually, I can do it fairly light, but it is. I think the purple's helping it right now appear more pink and less of an orangey red. But we'll see where it goes. So doing again this, you know, doing my initial layers very, very light. So now I'm going to go in and just do a little bit of white, kind of like I was doing with the yellow, you know, because we're going to want highlights. And I want to see if this will help or fade that red, because I'm going to have to go in a little bit harder, but it's doing pretty well about looking pink right now, so that's kind of cool. So be careful. I don't want to. One of the urges is, especially with the white, because right now you can't really see it and everything, is I don't want to crush the or burnish, I guess is the proper term, not crush. Crush the paper. No, burnish. Sorry. It is late. I was trying to tell you that before. It's a little late, getting a little punchy. But I don't want to burnish the paper, especially now, because I still have a lot more layers that I'm going to want to put in there. But I'm trying to introduce that highlight of white a little bit, and also to try to encourage us to stay pink instead of going, you know, I don't want it to go into a deep red. That's not the color I'm trying, though I am using red to do it. Now I'm going to go back in and put in a little bit of dark with the purple and kind of start putting those shadows. And what I'll do is I'll put in the purple, and then I'll go back in with the red, and I'll just be playing between those colors. So you'll just see them moving back and forth, going back and forth, and just working on getting that color, the color that I would like it to be. So what I'm doing right now is being very careful about not getting rid of that lighter portion by adding, you know, too much red, because I really like the pink hair. So I'm going to just keep bringing in kind of the red from the bottom and in the shadows to keep giving that, it look like there's a shine, but I'm not going all the way up. Now, when I do hair takes me a long time, and it's usually a lot of layers. And what's funny is I'm very protective of my highlights, but you'll eventually, it'll almost usually look like most of the hair is the low light color with just these little hints of highlights. And to me, that helps me give movement to the hair and a shine. So all the colors are a little bit brighter looking and intense, you know. So it ends up being more about the low lights by the time that I get done with it, which is really funny because the majority of the hair will look like it's actually darker than what we have at this point. And you know, you can see me trying not to put too much into the highlight. And with that, it'll be interesting to see how the luminance works with these Crayolas, if it actually is able to be blended, because there are different types of pencils. And we think about it, the luminance are very high end pencil, and our Crayolas, I don't know, it's hard for me to say negative things about them. Like, they're not professional. They're meant to be wonderful in the hands of people a little bit younger than myself. But you know, I have a nostalgia and kind of like a I don't know, that was my art. That was the only art that I got to do as a kid, was mostly coloring, and it was always with Crayolas. So I'm a little protective of them, at least. At least I feel like I am. And so it's funny because right now I like don't want to say, you know, ooh, they're lower this, or they're just a different kind of pencil, and they're making me eat my words right now. I'm actually able to do quite a few things. I don't know, and it's funny because I'm always looking for pencils with intense light colors, if that makes sense. I can get intense dark colors in a lot of pencils, but sometimes I can't keep them light enough and still have an intensity. They look pale. These are funny. These are not having that issue at all. Now I think what I'm going to do is now go in with a little bit of blue. Now remember, the colors that we have here are red and purple, and then the white. So we've gotten kind of pinks, and we've got some of the shadows. But remember that red and blue makes purple. So kind of like yellow and blue made green, it really helped with the shadows. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of blue now and add some more shadows, particularly underneath her hat and, you know, places like that, and kind of see if it pops the colors even more, because it won't be a true blue. It'll be kind of a purpley blue, and I can go back in if I need to and highlight. So that was a little bit intense. Oh well. So we're going to see if we can, you know, as I was saying, some of those low lights in there and kind of mix it a little bit. This is probably the other reason that I don't do a lot of, I love new challenges and trying something new, but you know, to do it on a Thursday night if I'm working and then I want to stay up and work on it, it's not good the next day. Fridays become very, very difficult. So another place where I want it a little bit darker than all the other places is where this hair kind of bends a little. A little bit of underneath. There we go. And then need to be careful. I don't want it to get too dark. But I like the shine on it, which is pretty nice. So now I'm going to go do this side over here. I'm really trying to protect that highlight, the shine. I think one of my favorite things to do, now I'm getting better with faces, green ones especially. No, I mean, you know, to do faces and the shading on that always makes, you know, your pictures really come alive. And eyes I've always liked doing, though I'm usually kind of guessing at them and like going, oh, I don't know if this is going to look, and a lot, you know, I have to really let the eyes dictate how I color them, not so much me. Oh, sorry. Oh, minor earthquake. Hold on a second. Oof, sorry. There we go. I feel like it's a little bit more stable. I keep knocking it, and I'm scared it's going to fall over. But as I was saying, so I used to really like doing eyes, and I usually always did eyes first. And I need to think about what I'm doing with hers. But I've kind of gotten where I really like doing hair. So I'm glad she had some, and I'm glad I can do. And it has a lot to do with freeing yourself up to do like really crazy hair too, which is fun. Alright, I'm going to bring some white back in, just to kind of put over a few things before I bring in that red for the pink. But we're getting, it is, the luminance is actually working really well with the Crayolas. So I don't have a luminance set. I only have a few that I've bought. I think I have like 6 of them, and it's really to try to decide if this is the next pencil that I want to work with and maybe ask for at Christmas. Yeah. So I mean, they're really neat. I was watching, I think it was Shine Bright, and she was working with the pan pastels, which a lot of people are starting to do thanks to Dee Dee, and also Shine Bright did quite a few little pan pastel videos, and she was saying that she really liked how the luminance worked with the pan pastels. So, but and that's something else I'm thinking of maybe investing in at some point. But for right now, I'm just glad I have the white to be able to do this. Okay, I think I'm going to do just a little bit of the red back in. We got to be really, really light and careful. I don't want to darken up. Okay. So there we have it. We have some pink hair. We have some, there we go, green skin. All done again because of the challenge with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 pencils so far, with the orange I haven't really used yet, but kind of neat, I think. So I do think I now want to introduce the orange. You know, I'm thinking this should be pink here too. That kind of looks like it's that cut there. But I want to introduce the orange in here. But I'm going to do that really quick before I forget what I did, because we definitely don't want to forget that. So right now what I'm thinking is I want just a hint of orange. So orange is going to be the background, the kind of the darker part. I don't want the whole thing to be a bright orange, because I don't know how well that's going to look next to the pink. But I know that I've always liked like pink, yellow into orange, kind of always. I don't know why I've always liked it. So I think I'm going to do more orange down here at the bottom. Very, very lightly going in, and then make this more of a yellow for a transition. really over the years started really liking oranges. Now, as with most colors, I think we all have like our favorites, but it has to be a certain hue. So like yellows, you know, big neon yellow, that's not my color. Buttercup yellow is a color I like. Oranges, I actually like them fairly intense, but not a neon orange. Again, I try to do both sides. I always try to do the same coloring. So like I just did the orange over here, I now want to come over here and do it before I forget. So I usually, if, you know, I will do both sides of anything that's symmetrical, or if they're the same element, I'll finish those before I move on. So here I'm going to come in and just kind of outline those darker bits, and then I'll bring the yellow. Now the yellow that I do have is a pretty bright yellow. So what I might do is try to tone it down. The only way I can tone it down a little bit is with this orange, but also maybe with the white to make it more of a lighter yellow, because it's a pretty vivid yellow. The one that is called yellow in the Crayola Crayola pencil set. Alright, so it's amazing. I keep looking at the picture and it's like, and I am going to leave that middle, like I kind of, you know, middle spot open for the, and not color in that quite yet. But I keep looking at the video up, and I'm like, you can't even see these colors, so I'm sorry, but I always have to start out so light. I find yellow is almost ends up being like a neutral. It just seems to just enhance all the other colors, and so I catch myself, you know, using it a lot. So like using it underneath the green, and you know, I just really catch myself using it a great deal. So now I'm going to kind of look at it as kind of the highlight down here. Now there's not going to be a whole lot of highlights, like shiny highlights down here, because this is more in shadow. But I'm going to use the yellow kind of as my highlight for the orange part here, because this is going to go a deeper orange. So these are two different oranges that we're going to see, because this is going to be more yellow. I'm going to go ahead and come in with that luminance for that middle section and see if I can. What I like I'm seeing with this luminance too, it is more opaque, like a lot of people mentioned, and it's making some of these darker lines for the drawing recede a little bit. They're not quite as bright, which is kind of nice. So again, they added in the challenge that we could use the white pencil. So I'm just kind of doing it in the middle again. I'm going to put it down here a little bit as well. And now you're just going to see me going back and forth with the yellow and the orange. So here's the red that I'm kind of using as the shadow to darken, and I'll go back over it with my orange. The red hopefully will darken up a little bit. Plus it also kind of brings in and marries those, because it's going to be a pinky orangey color. That makes sense. So more, and that's kind of the color that I want, because that kind of marries these all together. All right. I wasn't happy with it, but now I think I'm pretty happy with it. However, now I've got the problem of, this is the only thing about doing things with lots of color in it, is kind of like trying to figure out what her dress combination is going to be, which also, because I'm a kid of the 80s and things have to match, uh, what her hat is doing and the outfit. So it's interesting because now that I have these, I can't revert to doing something that's maybe black based because I don't have the color black. And we've got the hair done and we've got the skin done, and everything's melding together pretty well. Now, I'm not sure that everything is done. Like, I don't know that I won't go in at some point and use Gamsol to see if I can get a smoother blend, particularly on the face. I don't know if I go in and do more coloring on the face once I get more things colored, because I do want it to have a lot of color. One of the problems I'm having is I really don't have a color that can come in and really darken some of this down and really make it pop. So, and that's because I don't have a brown, I don't have a black, I don't have, and out of the colors that I've chosen, I've gotten them about as dark as they're going to go. So that's kind of a different experience that I'm having, but that's because of the limited palette. Again, this has been a pleasant surprise, but boy, has it been a challenge. It's definitely been a challenge for me. She's looking kind of interesting. This is definitely a good challenge. So for simple art for adults, y'all have put out a heck of a month challenge here in August 2018 of using just the colors of the rainbow. So I hope everybody else is having a great time. I'd love to know what you're coloring as well, what you're working on. If you're participating in this challenge as well, I'd love to know, and what you're choosing to work on. And as I always say, thank you so much for joining me, and keep coloring those pages.